Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to look at how Arsenal could line up versus Burnley, and we're going to go straight into the formation. As what formation is Mikel Arteta going to go with? Is he going to stick with the 4-2-3-1 formation, or is he going to go back to the back three formation where we used to have three at the back? But when it comes to the game versus Norwich, we did play with the back four, and we were able to get our first Premier League victory of the season. But there is a lot of things that still needs to be addressed in terms of how we are going to score goals, because we can't just have one source of attack like we did under Mikel Arteta in his first full season where we did win the FA Cup. And that is something that we cannot rely heavily on with the form of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. But even though we did have 30 shots on the day, which had 17 shots on target, we were only able to get that one goal, which even though it shows a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of nervousness, a lot of apprehensiveness, a lot of things that was there, anxiety regarding if we will score the goal, but we were able to get that one goal and get that victory, get the first 3 points of the season. But hopefully now we're able to build on this, because if we lose this game, there's no point of the first 3 games. And now for me, I think if Mikel Arteta loses any of the next 5 games, I think it's pretty much bye-bye for Mikel Arteta in my opinion, because he definitely has the squad that he wanted. He is the one that agreed to this transfer plan by the likes of Edu and the Cronkies, and he said that, okay, let's go with all the 23 plans, and he was happy with it. So hopefully we're able to get the victory. And in terms of the formation, which formation is Mikel Arteta going to go with? Definitely the 4-3-2-1 formation. So in terms of the goalkeeper, this is where the situation is, and I'm really happy that I'm going back to the situation, because I remember back in the days when we used to have Emiliano Martinez and Bernardo, we used to at least have an option. Who can we go with? And then we had a period of time where Emiliano Martinez left, and I was just saying that there's no need for me to choose a goalkeeper. But now I don't need to say another name. It's pretty much Bernardo. But now we're in a situation of the game where we have two top tier goalkeepers, and now we have an opportunity to who we're going to choose. And for me, who is Mikel Arteta going to choose? In terms of how I'm going to do this lineup, I'll do it after how I explain how Mikel Arteta will line up Arsenal first. So in terms of the goalkeeper, I think Mikel Arteta will go with Aaron Ramsdale, given the fact that he impressed in the game versus West Brom, and he impressed in the game versus the likes of Norwich City as well. 2 starts, 2 clean sheets, and that is something that is important in terms of a goalkeeper. And having a clean sheet and the way he celebrates other players' goals is something that shows his determination, his love, the passion for this football club, and that is something that is important. And being Aaron Ramsdale, I think his way he addresses himself as a goalkeeper is something that I really prefer. Yes, Bernardo is a very good shot stopper, but in terms of my opinion, any goalkeeper can be a very good shot stopper, and that's not something that I look in particular. I look at how they pass the ball, how they play out from the back. Ramsdale definitely fits that, but that's something that Mikel Arteta has stated. Mikel Arteta was even questioned in his press conference whether he already gave a promise to Bernardo if he would be playing in the North London derby. And Mikel Arteta stated that no, I haven't even decided who will be the goalkeeper for the game versus Burnley. Then how would I already decide who the goalkeeper will be versus Tottenham? And in terms of Aaron Ramsdale, he's definitely going to be the number 1 goalkeeper in terms of this game, because given the fact that Ramsdale's ability to play out from the back, the way he even commands himself in the box, that is his box. We can clearly see that. When it comes to Leno, I think he's a bit intimidated by the other players. And with the likes of Burnley being a very physical side, it's important Mikel Arteta has a very physical goalkeeper, and when it comes to Aaron Ramsdale, he's going to fight for this football club. He's going to show his passion for this football club, and that's something that I can clearly see, and I think he's the better goalkeeper overall. But then we will start to learn as we go along if this was the right decision to be made to pay £30 million for Aaron Ramsdale. So in terms of the defence, we're going to start off in the right back position, and this is where we previously had 3 right backs to choose from. But we're in the same situation right now, but we made a last-minute addition during deadline day by Mikel Arteta and Edu, where we either had the choice of bringing in the likes of Tomiyasu or Emerson Royal, and Emerson Royal is someone that struggled for Tottenham in his debut, whereas Takehiro Tomiyasu, in the 60 minutes he played, was pretty impressive. In terms of Takehiro Tomiyasu, I think it offers Mikel Arteta something different. Mikel Arteta stated that he's a player that fits my system. He has a capability to sit in the back 3. He's very defensive. He's very able to play any position in that back 4, which shows his knowledge, his strength, and his intelligence. And in terms of Takehiro Tomiyasu, he even had an interview which was exclusively released by the likes of Arsenal, and he even stated that it doesn't matter where I play. If the manager tells me to play up front, I'm definitely going to play up front as well. So in terms of Takehiro Tomiyasu, he will be the starting right back in my opinion. I think he's already done a lot in those 60 minutes when compared to the other players. And when it comes to Takehiro Tomiyasu, we have a player that nearly even scored in his debut, but what it reminds me of is the likes of Cedric Soares when he did score in his debut, and it was against Norwich as well. And he was able to score that last minute volley in the end when we did win 4-1. But hopefully Tomiyasu doesn't repeat what Cedric Soares' career has done at Ulster, and he was linked to the likes of a move to Fenerbahce. But he's a different right back. He's more combative, he's more flexible on both feet when you compare him to the likes of Cedric Soares, and he's a very, very good addition for Mikel Arteta. So in terms of the right centre-back position, who will this position be taken by? And we do have a few options. We got the likes of Callum Chambers, we got the likes of Rob Holding, Ben White, players such as even fringe players, even like Omar Rakik, who has impressed in the under 23s. And when it comes to that position, out of those three options, we did get rid of the likes of David Luiz, players such as Mustafi. All these players have now left the club, and pretty much we have three English centre-backs that can play in that position: Chambers, Holding, or Ben White. And out of all those three centre-backs, the player that I'm going to go with is the likes of Ben White. He was someone that struggled in his debut as well versus Brentford, but he is someone that has the capability, he has the importance, the intelligence, the ability on the ball, which is not matched by a few number of other players. I think when it comes to Ben White signing, I think it shows a lot of similarities to when Mikel Arteta wanted to bring in John Stones. I think he's a similar mould, a similar player, and that is something that Mikel Arteta definitely wants to do in the system, and that's what we've spent that £50 million to get. And now saw moments where Ben White in the Norwich game got the ball and just went dribbled past the midfield as if it was nothing. Something that I see from the likes of Antonio Rudiger at Chelsea, players such as even John Stones, who is capable of playing in that midfield position as well. And I think we do have a massive coup in the form of Ben White. He will be an impressive player in my opinion. Yes, he had a partnership with Pablo Mari which didn't work out, but they're both similar sorts of players. But having Ben White in that right centre-back position is only going to prove his value, get opportunities to show that he's a £50 million player. So partnering him, it will be in the form of either Pablo Mari or Gabriel Magalhaes. And these are two different sorts of players, but I think they're both very good players with each other. When it comes to Gabriel Magalhaes, we've got that physicality, which is something that is important to help the likes of Ben White prevent his weakness from being exploited. And Gabriel playing in that left centre-back position will only be a plus. We saw how much of a difference he made after he joined. And in the game versus Norwich, we conceded 9 goals in the previous games that Gabriel didn't play in. So when Gabriel played, we haven't conceded, we had a clean sheet. So Gabriel is an important player. We did bring him in from Mikel Arteta, that was his acquisition. It's something that he identified as a player that will succeed for Arsenal. And he's going to get the opportunity to have a very good relationship with Ben White. They're both 23 years old, they're both going to fight with each other, they're going to help each other. And I think we might have a very formidable centre-back pairing for a long time to come. But there's only one thing that always haunts every Arsenal player, and that's something that may be due to our physios, I don't know. Something when it comes to Arsenal players, they somehow get injured. And hopefully these players won't get injured in the crucial period for Arsenal in terms of where they're going to show themselves. After the first 3 games, we looked like a failure. But in terms of the games after, in the next 5 games, I want to see improvement. And Mikel Arteta has those 5 games to impress. So hopefully, Gabriel Magalhaes has a good game. And maybe I could even suspect a goal or two if Arsenal are able to get the number of crosses, the corners they were able to get versus Norwich. Burnley have struggled, and a player like Gabriel Magalhaes, his physicality, his mentality, and his ability to also play on the ball, just like the likes of Ben White, 2 ball-playing centre-backs with a ball-playing goalkeeper in the form of Aaron Ramsdale, I think we have a very, very strong defence. And to finish that lineup in terms of the back 4, it's going to be in the form of either the likes of Kieran Tierney or the likes of Nuno Tavares. And in terms of Nuno Tavares, the highlight is the fact that he's opened a new Twitter account. But in terms of Tavares, he hasn't got the opportunity to really show himself, really cement his position in the team, as he already knew when he joined the club that he is always going to have Kieran Tierney ahead of him. And with knowing the fact that Kieran Tierney is very injury prone, we have a player that could come in that left back position. But don't forget that we still have the likes of Sead Kolasinac at this football club, because he is someone that is still remains at the club. He wants to get a payoff and finish his Arsenal contract so he can earn as much money as possible. I can't criticise that, everyone does want to earn money, and that's something that definitely Kolasinac wants to do. And in terms of Kolasinac's highlights, the only thing I remember is the fact that he saved Mesut Ozil. So in terms of the likes of Kieran Tierney or Nuno Tavares, and even Tomiyasu can play in that position. I will definitely go with Kieran Tierney. I think there's now going to be two hard-working fullbacks in the form of Tierney and Tomiyasu. I think we have two players that are capable to fight with each other, to struggle with each other, and I see that passion in terms of them in training sessions, the way they are celebrating with each other. And I think we might have a similar mold to the likes of Nacho Monreal in these two fullbacks. And we know what Kieran Tierney does, but I think he needs to improve his defensive capabilities. He will work for the team. He's very similar to the likes of Andy Robertson at Liverpool. He's someone that can get up to that byline, put beautiful crosses, and that's something that we clearly can see. And hopefully Kieran Tierney can improve his defensive side and get more assists and goals, and also clean sheets as well. And when it comes to Kieran Tierney, something that I want to change in his game is the fact that he should always go to the byline and puts a cross in. Do something different. I still remember the moment where he cut inside with his right foot and scored that goal versus West Brom. I need moments where he can come inside the box, try to do some skills, and try to put a box ball in the box. Because he needs to vary his sort of play and not just running into the byline and putting it across it. Because that's something that most of the teams are able to work out, that most of our players down the left-hand side. And that is something that needs to be improved to a massive extent. So now moving into the midfield pivots, who is Mikel Arteta going to go with? And especially in that right centre mid position, we do have a few players such as the likes of Mohamed Elneny, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who can play in that position, even the likes of Martin Odegaard or Emil Smith-Rowe. And there was a youngster that has started to break through into the first team in the form of Charlie Patino, and he's someone that could make a debut as well. He plays in that number 8/number 6/number 10 position as well. He's got the capability. He has been named as the best talent to come out of the Hayland Academy. So hopefully, when it comes to Thomas Partey, he definitely will be the starter in that right centre mid position. When it comes to Partey, we have a player that is capable of showing that he is a big difference to that midfield. We can remember how awful we were in that midfield without Partey, how awful that midfield was, how weak it was, and with a player like Partey, I think he's very, very important. He's someone that impressed very, very well in the pre-season friendlies. He's got his lucky number 5 shirt now, and hopefully he can make a huge, huge difference for the Gunners as they take on the likes of Burnley. And his physicality, his mentality, and his ability to find that pass like he did versus Norwich, that important pass, that was something that Mikel Arteta was explaining as he was about to get on as a substitute. Put those direct passes to the feet of the attackers. Don't try and play sideways, backwards. We don't want that. Just get the ball to the furthest person on there, and then they can create things. We have attackers that can get the ball to their feet and try to make things happen. That is something that Partey has improved in terms of his game. He's now got the 1-year experience of the Premier League, and he has a great opportunity to now impress in an Arsenal shirt. So partnering him in that left centre mid position, who is Mikel Arteta going to go with? He has a number of options such as the likes of Granit Xhaka, players that such as Elneny, who's unfortunately will miss out once more, the likes of Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who played in that position. But in that position, definitely is going to be in the form of Sambi Lokonga. Lokonga will be partnering the likes of Thomas Partey, and when it comes to Lokonga, he's someone that had to do a partnership with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and he showed his capability. He did cover for Maitland-Niles at many times, as Maitland-Niles gets familiarised with this position. But when it comes to Lokonga, he's a player that isn't fair. He's not his age. He's not 21 years old. He plays more like someone that is much older than what he is currently. He has good awareness of the game. He does do good things. And one thing I love about his game, he doesn't think always backwards. Something that Granit Xhaka does. Something that the other players such as Elneny, sideways, backwards. But when it comes to Lokonga, he's looking for the both corners of the game. He's looking at both flanks, he's looking everywhere, and his first intention is to always pass forwards, and that is something that definitely is important in the form of Albert Sambi Lokonga. So now moving into that number 10 position, who is Mikel Arteta going to go with? In terms of that position, I think we pretty much have two players who can play in that position, Martin Odegaard or Emil Smith-Rowe. When it comes to Martin Odegaard, he did have a decent game versus Norwich. He was doing some moments where he did look quite impressive. He's someone that is leader. He's someone that tells the other players what to do, and he's the captain of Norway. So we do have a leader in the form of Odegaard. And we have Smith-Rowe, who's wearing that number 10 shirt. He's someone that has impressed time and time again. He's someone that is capable of showing that he is one of the best players in the game for Arsenal right now. And there are moments where I love his ability to glide with the ball to show that he's a top level player. But these are two young prospects who can turn out to be very good players. But in that number 10 position, I think we will go with Martin Odegaard. Given the fact that Odegaard is someone that has the capability to really dictate the play. He reminds me of sometimes of the likes of Mesut Ozil with his ability to pick out a pass that no one else can view. And that is something that Martin Odegaard can definitely replicate. In terms of other number 10s that can play in that position, we did talk about the likes of Patino, but I think this would be a game too soon for the youngster. So in terms of the wingers, in terms of the right winger, who is Mikel Arteta going to go with? He does have a few options, such as the likes of Nicola Pepe or Bukayo Saka. And this is an interesting situation for Mikel Arteta to make, because we did have other players such as Willian, Reece Nelson, players that can play in that right winger position. Willian has left, Reece Nelson has left on loan. So in that right winger position, I pretty much see only 2 players, if I haven't forgot anyone, that can play in that position. Maybe you can bring in a defender slash attacker. Even Odegaard can play in that right winger role as well, or Smith Rowe. But in terms of that right winger position, who is Mikel Arteta going to go with? And I think he's going to go with Bukayo Saka. Even though Nicola Pepe was very influential in the game versus Norwich City, there were moments where I did like his play. There was moments where he could have done better with his first touch. There were moments where he was getting criticised as well, but that is something that you could see from Nicola Pepe. He loves to take risks on the ball, but I think Mikel Arteta will go with Bukayo Saka. So in terms of the left winger, who is Mikel Arteta going to go with? And he does have a variety of options, such as the likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He can operate in the wing. We have players such as Gabriel Martinelli, Smith Rowe, players such as even Nicola Pepe. He can operate on the left flank as well. But I think Mikel Arteta is going to go with Emil Smith Rowe, and this is a decision for Mikel Arteta to make. Who is going to go with, Smith Rowe or the likes of Nicola Pepe? Because this is a position which needs to be filled up. We know that Odegaard can also operate in that wing as well. He's done it for the likes of Norway as well, and he sometimes was chosen to play further up in his career as well. But Smith Rowe in that number 10 position, Mikel Arteta does like him in that winger role. It suits him more because he likes to get the ball and glide with the ball, and something that could suit his game, since Kieran Tierney will be most of the time getting down the byline. He was someone that is pretty much a left winger throughout the game, and this will enable Smith Rowe to come in inside and play in the more familiar number 10/number 8 role, where he can come in and make score goals in midfield. So in terms of who Mikel Arteta is going to go with up front, it's going to be one man, and he's our talisman and our captain, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We do have other options, such as the likes of Alexander Lacazette, following Balogun, Eddie Nketiah, Gabriel Martinelli. These are players that Mikel Arteta can definitely go with. But the player that I think he's going to go with is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And he is someone that was able to get our only goal of the Premier League season so far. Hopefully there is more to come, but I think he's looking a bit more of himself, get that confidence, and he'll start firing once again. Now this is how I think Mikel Arteta will line up Arsenal. In terms of how I think Mikel Arteta will line up Arsenal. In terms of how I would line up Arsenal, we're going to go into it in just a minute. But if you guys agree with Mikel Arteta's lineup, make sure you guys leave it in the comments below. But now we're going to look at my lineup. So in terms of my lineup, yes, I do agree with the back 4 and the goalkeeper. I do like Ramsdale over Leno, as I already stated the reasons when Mikel Arteta was likely to choose Ramsdale. Tommy Arsenal is the right back for me. Gabriel Magalhaes and Ben White are my 2 centre backs, and Kieran Tierney in that full back position, even though I wouldn't mind Nuno Tavares as well, as Tavares can offer us something a little bit different. In terms of the midfield, I do like Thomas Partey and Sambi Lokonga, but I think this is a great opportunity for Mikel Arteta to try something different. But we do want to see, as Arsenal fans, Partey and Lokonga. But for me, if I do want to get our attackers playing more games, and with Lokonga having someone that was rested in the Belgium international break because he did have some form of a knock, but Mikel Arteta was still able to let him play for 60 minutes. But for me, in that left centre mid position, I'd rather see Martin Odegaard. And the reason why I've seen Martin Odegaard is the fact that he's a player that is being brought in as a number 8. He's wearing the number 8 shirt, and he has been playing in that number 8 position before. And when it comes to Odegaard, when it comes to his time at Real Madrid, the only position he can play was the midfield, because he could either replace the likes of Toni Kroos or the likes of Luka Modric. And we're also going to go with a different sort of formation. Maybe you might start to see the 4-3-3 formation, and that is something that I do wish Arteta starts to implement, because if we're going to go with one holding midfielder, we can go with Sambi Lokonga in that centre defensive midfield role, or we can even go with Thomas Partey and have 2 attacking midfielders in the form of Odegaard and Smith Rowe, and this will enable Nicola Pepe to be also joined in as well, and that's something that will be very useful for Mikel Arteta. But in terms of the current formation, because I think still Mikel Arteta should stick with the 4-2-3 and let's get a run of games going on, and then when we have a problem we can change the formation. And in terms of that number 10 role, who is Mikel Arteta going to go with, this will definitely lead to Smith Rowe playing in that number 10 position. And this will leave to the likes of Bukayo Saka operating on that left flank, as he is pretty much a left winger, and Nicola Pepe playing on the right flank. For me, I want to see Nicola Pepe play the games. I don't know what you guys think about him. I don't know if you think Nicola Pepe will be a success or a failure at this football club. He's struggled for the first 2 seasons, but in moments where in the pre-season friendly, I thought Paulsey and Pepe are going to have breakthrough seasons this season. And when it comes to Pepe, you just let him start him from the off. If you don't show him that confidence that he is going to be a starter, a regular starter like he was for the likes of Leo, then his mentality, his mindset is not going to be there. He's not going to try as hard as he used to try. And with the fans behind him as well, with the fans there as well, this will make him even more motivated, more driven, more determined, more passionate to succeed for this football club. So this is how I will go with my lineup, and I would love to see the 4-3-3 formation as well, if that is something that Mikel Arteta wants to operate. Burnley are not a team that scores 6-7 goals or 5-4-3 goals. They like to get that 1 or 2-0 win, or 1-2-1. Those sorts of victories are the ones that Sean Dyche likes to do with Burnley. So I wouldn't mind to see a 4-3-3 formation, to let Partey play in that CDM position by himself. He's played in that position before for the likes of Atletico Madrid, and with Odegaard capable of getting the ball from deep and making things happen, giving him the freedom to go up front as well, I think this will be a good partnership. It gave Lokonga a rest. I do think he's a bright prospect. We can't put all the weight on him at a very young age. And with Smith Rowe on the number 10, Saka on the left wing, Nicola Pepe on the right wing, I think this will be a good squad in terms of challenging and beating Burnley. And I think I'll rather see substitutes of Gabriel Martinelli brought in very early if we are able to get an early lead and win by 2-3 goals by half time or by 60 minutes. This could lead to the likes of Martinelli, Lacazette being brought in as well. And this will be a decent lineup in my opinion. But make sure you guys leave it in the comments below. Which lineup do you agree with Mikel Arteta's or mine? And leave in the comments, why do you like my lineup, or why do you not like my lineup, or why do you like Mikel Arteta's lineup, or why don't you like Mikel Arteta's lineup? But make sure you guys click one of the videos on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.